Hey guys, it's Georgia. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which I am so nervous about. I don't know why. I have just been so hesitant to film this video, but I get constant DMs. I'm not even kidding you guys, like a couple of DMs every single day asking me about boy stories, to film more videos about boys and gossip and stuff. And ever since I did my last mukbang, you guys have been asking like crazy about some of my boys stories and stuff. So today I got inspired and I'm just gonna cut the bullet and I'm gonna do it. Cut the bullet? Beat the bullet. I don't know, whatever. Because I've had my fair share of bad boy experiences. There's a whole bunch that I could tell you guys, but I'm just gonna tell you guys a few today. Now, some of these people I am talking like I might have known them for a couple of hours. Some of these people I knew for a couple of weeks, whatever. No one's gonna be named. I've changed everyone's names, changed the stories a little bit, just for my sake and the people's sake that I actually had these interactions with. This is just a fun video, just for a laugh and to give you guys a little bit of enjoyment. I love watching them. I honestly watch so many of these like crazy bad, you know, horrible boy stories, and they're so entertaining. So I thought I would just give you guys a little something. Also, some of these names that I've made up, don't even ask. They honestly sounds like I'm dating 50-year-old men. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am incredibly nervous, so let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know if you'd like me to do more, because I have lots and lots of stories. This is just a little taste test for you guys. But without further ado, let's jump in and get started with the video. So the very first story I'm going to talk to you guys about is a guy named Bobby, and we're going to call him Bobby. Bobby. I don't know why. We'll roll with it. And so basically I didn't know too much about this person. I don't even know why I like went out of my way. I was just sort of in a position where I was like, let's just see what happens. I was very optimistic, and as you guys would know if you watch my other videos, I'm very strict with like the types of guys that I let into my life, just because I've had quite a few bad situations, as you will understand in this video. So I'm very like hesitant now, but at this point I was just like, you know what, I'm prepared to be pleasantly surprised. So this guy Bobby, he wanted to go out for lunch, so we went out for lunch and went to this place. There was a whole kerfuffle working out where to go and stuff, but Bobby and I met up at this place and we were sitting down to have lunch together and just sort of chat, see how things go, whatever. It wasn't anything like serious. Honestly, didn't know much about this person. I'm the type of person, I don't like to go off what I've heard or what other people say or whatnot. I like to understand people from my own perspective, if that makes sense. So yeah, Bobby and I, we were just chatting, and to be completely honest, the conversations didn't seem to be too directed at me. I don't mind listening. I love hearing about what people have to say and whatnot, but I don't know, I feel like when you're in a dating or like a friendship relationship situation, it's just kind of polite to ask about the other person. It was just very dominated by Bobby, and whatever, you know, that's cool. That wasn't the issue. This one's more of just like a funny story. So he was telling me all about like this goal that he really wanted, and this goal involved him sort of having to push himself to a certain level, and I'm all for that, and you know, I am quite interested. So I was asking a few little questions. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And he was like, oh, wonder where I could be staying if I do go to this event to do with this thing that I'm doing. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like sitting on his phone, like looking at this place that, you know, he wanted to go to, and I was like, okay. And like, I don't know, that just seemed a little bit off for me, like a little bit like that's something you could do in your own time when that other person isn't around. I like to give people my full attention and like completely devote myself in that moment, and I understand not everyone's like that, but yeah, it was just a little bit odd. And yeah, I was sort of getting quite drained by Bobby's conversations, and I was like really excited to go. I'm pretty sure I had told Bobby that I had nothing else to do that day, so I ended up just being like, okay, you know, I have to go now. Yeah, probably good time to go. and we got up to leave, and I was just, you know, we paid everything. I just wanted to, you know, give him a hug, be like, yeah, nice seeing you. But I knew that that was the last time I was ever going to see him again. May sound a little bit strict, but under those circumstances, I just wasn't feeling it, wasn't that keen. And this person, he was quite, you know, fit, athletic. I went up to him and went to go like say, oh, goodbye, nice seeing you, whatever. And he was like, oh, hold up. And he was like, yeah, you know what, like I'm really tight, and like started like stretching. And then there was like a bench that we were sitting on at this place we went for lunch, and he put his foot up on the bench and was full on like stretching his hamstrings, like, you know what I mean, when you put your foot up and then you like reach for your toes. He was full on doing that and did it with like both legs and everything. And I'm just standing there. All I wanted was like to say goodbye so I could go home and literally do nothing. But he was like full on stretching and had to stretch before he could say goodbye to me. So strange. Oh my gosh, I just like, I don't understand. Like, I've been in situations too where, you know, I'm a bit tight or whatever. It was just funny. I don't know. The next story is about another boy called Matthew, and Matthew is a very interesting one. This story is quite interesting. So I decided that, you know, in order to see this person, I thought that it would be a good idea if we, like, you know, made our way to somewhere that we both go regularly together. We both went there quite regularly, and there was one day that we decided we would go together. And in order to do that, we caught the bus. I don't really have too much experience catching the bus. I used to drive to school, or my mum would drive me, or the train. I don't really have too much involvement with the bus system. So Matthew and I, we caught the bus, and we did that very often. It was just like a routine thing. And this one particular day, I messaged Matthew, like when I'd woken up and been like, yeah, good morning, just letting you know, like, you know, I'm leaving my house now, or I'm 10 minutes away, whatever. And in order to do this with Matthew, I had to go a little bit out of my way. Like, it was a bit of an effort to do this, but it was sort of like the effort that I wanted to take. And this was such a regular thing too, so it wasn't like this was just a one-off or something that changed quite regularly. It was consistent. And this one day Matthew was like, okay, yeah, you know, catching the bus, whatever. And I got to the bus stop and I was meeting him there, and he didn't message me. He wasn't replying to my messages. I was like, hey, I'm here, you know, ready to catch the bus. Hadn't gotten any reply, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit odd. Maybe, you know, Matthew's just running late. Maybe he's like on his way. I don't know what the situation is, but you know, he'll be coming. We do this so frequently. And a bus arrived, and I was like, okay, this is my bus, and this is how I'm getting to this event. I do it so often. I need to be there at a certain time. Well, I'm just gonna have to get on the bus. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Got on the bus, and it was a very busy bus, and I hadn't really like caught it too many times, not enough to be like all over it, so a little bit anxious and stressed. But got on the bus, and I was like, oh my gosh, Matthew, you're not on the bus. Where are you? What's happening? Are you just gonna meet me somewhere, or what's gonna happen? Because we both had to be at this same event together. And the bus took probably like 45 minutes, around that or something. So it was a fair bus drive, and I got to where I was supposed to go. Got a little bit lost, I'm pretty sure, you know, I was a little bit confused, but got to where I was supposed to be and still hadn't heard from Matthew. So then I was at this event for a couple of hours, and then I finally heard from Matthew, and I was like, you're kidding, you know, it's been 3 hours or whatever it had been. And I was like, oh my goodness. And Matthew was like, sorry, I fell asleep. And I was like, you fell asleep and you didn't tell me, like, you know, that you were going back to sleep? And Matthew was like, oh no, I don't have to be at this event today. And I was like, okay. And I was like, and you were planning on telling me that when? I was like, radio. So that's one thing. And then I was like, okay, you know, I'm low-key annoyed because I went to this particular place for you, and you know, you weren't there, whatever. I just think it's, you know, a bit ignorant. And Matthew was like, yeah, you know what, it's all good. And I was like, how am I gonna get home? Because my car is near where our meeting point is, and Matthew lived relatively close to that meeting point. So I was like, that's not my area. I don't know how to get back to my car so that I can get home. And the bus system, I didn't really understand. So I decided I was catching the train. Caught the train to like the nearest stop near to where I caught the bus, but it wasn't really near because the train lines didn't really run there. So while I was on the train, I like popped in the train station and the address where the bus stop was, and it was gonna be a 45-minute walk, and it was quite warm. I wasn't prepared to do that. I'm pretty sure I was wearing like thongs or something, or flip-flops, whatever you want to call them. And so I was like, okay, cool. Didn't really want to walk. I was getting quite anxious and stressed. That's just my personality. And I was messaging Matthew like, you know, I'm at this station, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna pick you up. Matthew fell asleep again, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, if you know you're supposed to be somewhere, if you know you're supposed to do something, like, just do it. Like, it's not hard. And especially in this situation, I had no one else, and no one else was around to help me out or whatever, and I needed to get back to my car. And once I was like at the train station, I was messaging Matthew. Matthew had fallen asleep again, wasn't responding for like 20 minutes, half an hour. And I was panicking, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to start walking. But I didn't really want to be walking in this area because it's not the most safe place, I guess. I messaged one of my friends and was like, hey, I know this is so ridiculous and I'm so sorry, but like, are you able to pick me up from the train station and take me to my car? And I was so thankful that this person was like in the area and was like 5 minutes away. It literally came straight away. I was so grateful. Oh my goodness. And yeah, this person like came and like picked me up and took me back to my car, and I literally got in the car and cried. Like, I know to some of you I might seem like such a big baby, but like, this was just like such a frustrating and annoying day. I was just like, I was over it. It was a big inconvenience, and the way that Matthew dealt with the situation after that sort of led me to be, you know, I'm not going to go into that, but like, Matthew wasn't the nicest about that situation and wasn't that respectful, so whatever. Thanks, Matthew. I'll just walk home from the train station, no worries. And now I have a big thing with just being respectful, and like, if you're meant to be somewhere, you have to be there. And if something's changed, just keep up the communication. I'm a big communication person. So I went out with this person called Richard. Now this story was just sort of the icing on the cake, but I thought it was a little bit frustrating and funny. So basically, Richard and I just happened to be in the same area at this time, and we were in like a very coastal area, so we decided that we would meet up at the beach one day and yeah, just hang out for the day. So I had to walk to the beach that was closest to Richard. Richard was staying at a place that was basically on the water. It was so close, like 1 minute walk down the road to get to this beach, and I was about a 20-minute walk, a fair distance, and I was like, yep, cool, okay, I'll walk over. And so, you know, went on my walk to go and visit Richard, and I'd messaged Richard and been like, yeah, you know what, I'm here, waiting for him to come down. Figured it would only take Richard like a couple of minutes. Put down my towel, was like sunbaking, whatever, lying there waiting for Richard, and it was a while. I waited there for a very long time for Richard, and I don't actually remember the details, but I just remember being so frustrated because half an hour turned into an hour turned into an hour and a half. Before I knew it, I was sitting there lying on the beach for 2.5 hours by myself, and I had specifically chosen, you know, to remove myself from my original plans for this person. So I'd made a bit of an effort, and so I was a little bit frustrated. Say we were supposed to meet at 9 o'clock. It was now like 11:30, and Richard came down, and I was like low-key frustrated, as you would be, and I was like, oh my gosh, it has been 2.5 hours. What on earth have you been doing? Like, I've just been sitting in here. And while I was sitting there, he was messaging me, but letting me know I'm having breakfast now, or I'm doing this, about to have a shower, about to play Xbox, like whatever, like all these things that he was doing while I was still sitting at the beach. And he knew that I was at the beach waiting for him, so it was just a little bit inconsiderate. Anyway, I seem like so highly strung, but anyway. So yeah, Richard didn't really understand why I was annoyed, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so annoying, and like, it's almost pathetic to me. Like, come on, it's not that hard when someone's made an effort for you and you don't really acknowledge that, I guess. So then Richard went on to tell me, I was like, where have you been? Richard went on to tell me that he went for a training session in the morning with his friends and didn't tell me that, you know, he was going to be late, because to me there was many opportunities to be like, hey, I've got this in the morning, can we actually go to the beach in the afternoon? Like, no problems. But the fact that he just left it and I had to wait on my time for so long for him, I just felt like that was so rude. So yeah, he was telling me, you know, he had a training session and, you know, it wasn't like a compulsory thing. They just decided that him and his friends wanted to do it, so they went and did it, and it ran late, like an hour late, and he still needed to have breakfast and all this stuff. I don't know, communication and like respectfulness, like I think that's just a big thing for me. I don't think I've ever been with someone who's like properly respected me like 110%. And respect's just like a big deal to me. I understand everyone's got their own values, but yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, isn't it? All right, and here's the doozy. Okay, here we've got Stuart, another guy. His name's Stuart, and he was a good guy at this point. I thought he was lovely. I was infatuated, you know, the fresh like love stage, and I was like, wow, he's amazing. My cousin was having a birthday, and it was a significant birthday in their life, and you know, they had planned this whole big thing, and my cousin had invited this person. They'd invited Stuart, and I thought that was really nice. I was so excited because this cousin meant everything to me. It was like so close, and honestly just owed them a lot, and I was very excited to celebrate their birthday with them, whatnot. And because Stuart was invited, I was like, oh, this is so exciting, like, yeah, do you want to go together? And I told Stuart up front, because this is like a really close cousin of mine, I'm gonna go a little bit earlier, if that's okay with you, just because I want to help set up, and just, you know, being a good friend, I wanted to be there to help out on their special day. And Stuart's like, yeah, like, I get that, no worries, I'll drive you, because I don't want to drink or anything, so I'll drive, and yeah, I'll take you. And I said, okay, cool, this is the time, say it's like 7 o'clock, I need you to pick me up, because I've got to be there by 7:45, whatever it was. And he was like, yeah, cool. That was like a little while before the actual day. The actual day came, and I got myself ready, you know, whatever, made myself feel all nice. And Stuart wasn't really replying to my messages for a while, and this is just like gets on my nerves. Like, just reply. Like, I understand if you're driving. That's what I assumed at the time. I was like, okay, you know, you're driving. I told him to pick me up at a certain time, like 7 o'clock or whatever, and it was like 7:10, and I was like, okay, like, I'm guessing you're driving. And Stuart didn't live too far away from my house. I could time it, and I knew when he should have been there. And so I was like, okay, I got to the point where I was like, he hasn't left yet, all right. And I was like, where are you, what are you doing? And Stuart was like, sorry, just got out of the pool. And this was like 7:30, so half an hour past when he was supposed to be there to pick me up and take me to my cousin's birthday. And Stuart's like, yeah, was talking to my friend on the phone, blah blah blah, got a bit caught up, but I still need to eat, I'm kind of hungry, and I need to have a shower and get changed. And I was like, okay, so how long are you gonna be? And Stuart's like, okay, well, I'm probably not gonna be leaving my house for another like 45 minutes. And I was like, 45 minutes? And I was like, I was supposed to be there by this time. And I was quite frustrated, so it wasn't the greatest situation. And so I was just sitting at the front of my house, and this relationship was so new and fresh, and I was in like that infatuation stage where I was just trying to take everything as a positive and mentally make the most out of situations, you know, give them the benefit of the doubt and whatnot. And so much time had passed. I'd messaged my cousin and been like, I'm not there yet, and I'm pretty sure they were a bit annoyed because, you know, I wasn't there, and I felt really bad. That was like something that I had to do, and I was so close to just driving myself, but Stuart was coming for me, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, don't really know what to do. And my parents were very like, you know, where is Stuart? Like, aren't you supposed to be there by now? Like, is Stuart even coming? Like, sort of on my case, like, are you okay? And I was getting a little bit worked up too, I'll be honest. Anyway, Stuart finally rocks around, and oh my goodness, it was an hour and 15 minutes past the time that we were supposed to leave and the time that he was supposed to pick me up. And the thing that just really grinded my gears was Stuart did not care at all and didn't really see it as a big deal. At the time, I like shrugged it off, but like now looking back at it, it just makes me really annoyed because that was such a big deal for me. And I think it's just a little bit disrespectful to, you know, go and, you know, think yourself is more important than doing something for someone else, and that your life is more important. Like going for a swim, to me, you can do that whenever. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I know that I've been filming for a really long time. You guys are always asking about boy stories and all that stuff, so I wanted to make a video for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and some of these things are a little bit relatable. You guys can relate with me on some of these things. If you guys want to see like a part 2, or you've got any other story times that you want to hear, let me know in the comments, because I really enjoy watching them. I just don't really know what to film them about. I always say to my friends, like, my life is so uninteresting, but then when I think of all these things, I'm like, yeah, that is kind of weird. And I feel like with the stories that I have, I could make a movie. I hope you guys all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all in my next video very, very soon. If you haven't subscribed already, it would honestly mean the world to me. I will see you guys all in my next video very, very soon. Bye!